Hi, Michelle. Nice to see you today.
Nice to see you, Deborah.
Would you please tell us what Boeing Mission Systems encompasses?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Boeing Space Mission Systems is essentially our whole satellite business, our Boeing satellite and ground business. So it's everything that we have in our kind of historic El Segundo site. So commercial satellites, government satellites, as well as X-37, the work that we do up in Kent, groundwork in Colorado, and also our subsidiaries of Spectralab that does our solar cells and solar panels, and subsidiary of Millennium, which is our small sat business that we acquired in 2018. So that's part of our Space Mission Systems business as well. And it's a really exciting portfolio because it really spans everything from small satellites through Millennium, all the way up to our big geo satellites like Viasat and WGS, and just any orbit and any capability. So it really gives us a lot of flexibility to pick the right product or capability for the solutions that the customer needs. So we're really excited about Space Mission Systems. It's been about a year since we've put Space Mission Systems together, and we're really seeing the benefit of that integration and ability to look across that whole portfolio to bring great solutions to the customer.
Yes, I wanted to ask you how that integration is going.
It's going really well. I mean, we have historically in Boeing, we've been building satellites for 60 years. We built the first geosynchronous communication satellite back in the 1960s. So that site in El Segundo has been building satellites 60 years. And, I like to say we started with small satellites and we've done a whole, evolution, small growing to large. And now we have the whole portfolio. And that integration has been really important because, as I said, we've brought in more than just our historic El Segundo site. We've got the small sats, we've got Kent, we've got the ground systems. We've got a lot of payload capabilities as well. And so being able to integrate with the leaders in the same portfolio and looking across that as the market changes. So the market dynamics obviously have changed over the past decade or so for the satellite business, and with a multi-orbit, multi-platform kind of portfolio, we can pick the right solution for the customer that's going to bring them the best service. And I really think that the market is going to an and. It's not an either or. It is how can you integrate the capabilities in the portfolio that you have and bring the best solutions. And so being able to look across that portfolio has been really beneficial. And we have done proposals and programs that have taken, parts of Millennium Bus with a Boeing payload or whatnot, and that integration has allowed us to have some differentiators that I'm really excited about.
So you've talked in the past about how Millennium helps Boeing and how Boeing helps Millennium. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so like I said, we acquired Millennium in 2018 with the intent to really establish a small sat provider, small sat manufacturer. We've always been very excited about Millennium. They've brought into our portfolio this rapid prototyping, entrepreneurial mindset, class CD missions, shorter duration missions, and rapid turnaround, rapid production and launch, and really exciting. So they've brought in sort of that mindset and that thinking to the Boeing company. And then on the flip side, from the Boeing side, we have helped them set up small sat factory. You've been to the small sat factory and toured it. It's up and humming now. So we've helped them with that production and getting to rate. We've helped them with additive manufacturing and some of the aspirations they had with regard to digital engineering and those areas. And so it's been a really good, two-way street, I think, to get the Millennium thinking and rapidity into the mainstream satellites, and then to get some of the infrastructure and technologies that Millennium had been wanting to advance into Millennium. So it's been a really good partnership and growth opportunity.
The U.S. Space Force recently placed an order for a 12th WGS satellite, wideband global SATCOM. How has that satellite evolved?
Yeah, so we're really proud of our WGS line. This is the 12th, as you said. So we've built all of the WGSs from the first one all the way through the 12th. And like you said, it has been an evolution. So it has always provided, SATCOM capability to our customer, we're proud of the performance and the capability that it's provided. And through the years, it has evolved as our communication payload capability have evolved. And most recently on F11 and F12, they are based on our integrated payload array, which is the technology that we actually developed on the commercial side for our customer SES in the O3b constellation. So it's a fully digital, software-defined payload with thousands of beams, steerable beams, reprogrammable, truly entirely digital payload. And we have transitioned that from the commercial side into a military application that includes anti-jam capabilities that will really deliver significant advantages to the warfighter, different than commercial communications. So again, like I said earlier, I think the market is really an and, not an either or. So there's a lot of talk about commercial providers. What we think WGS brings is really a differentiator in that protected SATCOM anti-jam capability that's above and beyond, and something that you want on the battlefield. And that evolution through the 12 WGSs has been a progression of increasing payload capability, increasing performance for the warfighter, and we continue to be extremely proud of that product and constellation.
As you mentioned, your portfolio also includes the X-37B space plane. What's important about that space plane for Boeing and for the nation?
Yeah, so the space plane is really exciting. I mean, that's another example where we have been flying the X-37 for quite a few years. This is the 7th mission that we launched in December. And just the ability to be able to evolve that platform and also, bring it back down. It's a reusable space plane. We can bring it back down, refuel it, switch up the experiments and such that are on it. And it really is a great capability to get up there and be able to test new technologies in a space environment. This 7th mission is testing out a new orbital regime and new technologies. As I said, we're really excited about it. The previous mission had set a record for days in space before it returned, so 908 days, I think it was, in space. So every time we launch the X-37, we are pushing boundaries and demonstrating new technology, and it's a really exciting platform to be able to enable that.
So I was also visiting Boeing for the O3b mPower unveiling. That program has experienced some electrical problems. How has Boeing responded to that?
Yeah, so first and foremost, we support our customers through everything. Customers are extremely important to us. Our SES customers is a very important partner, has been an important partner in the launch of our integrated payload array. And I would like to say that I will say that the underlying technology of the IPA, I mean, this basically took our heritage payload that was very large and very time consuming to hand integrate with waveguide and cables, coax cables and things like that, and put it all into basically what you can think of as like a flat panel TV, right? So it's all circuitry within boards that replaced all of that hand-built waveguides and such. And we built a factory in order to do that and reduce the time significantly to bring the payload together. So all of that underlying technology of the circuit integration, the software-defined aspects, the steerable, switchable aspects, all working really well. We do have, as you said, an electrical power supply glitch that we experienced. We've been working hand in hand with our customer to understand what caused that, how to how to account for that, and how to work with the satellites that are on orbit. And then for the ones we are still delivering to them, being able to make a fix that will eliminate that. And we've already done that and tested that out. So, so things are looking really good. And again, really important customer. They are looking to get into service this month with the 6 satellites that are up there. And then those satellites will be joined later this year with the 7th and 8th satellites of that constellation.
Right. I saw you during a tour of the small satellite factory. That was a couple of years ago. How is that factory performing?
Yeah, so it's been really exciting to see that factory. Again, we, as you saw when you were there, we actually dedicated a space that was in our mainstream factory where we've historically built our satellites, and actually it has a connection to the integrated payload array, because the factory that we stood up for the integrated payload array took a lot less space than our historic waveguide and analog payloads. So we were able to dedicate that space that we freed up to the small sat factory. I know at least one time when you saw it, it was pretty much the empty, the clean room, but the empty room as we were building it up. Now it is truly humming. So we've got the feeder factory. Millennium is about 80% vertically integrated. So they've got all the feeder factories set up, and then a space vehicle side of the factory as well. And we delivered our first vehicles out of that factory just recently. So that is an exciting milestone. All of the Millennium manufacturing engineers are there in the factory. So Millennium still has their headquarters down the street, but the majority of their manufacturing and engineers and technicians are in the small sat factory. And I just love it because I've seen it since, we broke ground on it. And now when you walk in, it is truly humming, and you can see all the products, coming to fruition. And this vision that we had to establish the small sat factory within the larger factory footprint has really come to pass, and that's super exciting. And then we'll take that. We established a crawl, walk, run philosophy to get them up to rate. And I think when you were there early on, we may have talked about that a little bit. And we didn't come out and say, hey, we're going to do 200 satellites. We said, this year we're going to do 10, next year we're going to do 25, and we're going to get to 60. And now we've got the blueprint for that factory footprint, and we can replicate that in other areas of our factory and further expand that capability. So I think that approach has been really helpful for us. It's given us an ability to test out and establish and sort of dry run the lower rate, and then move up to the higher rate production. And to go back to one of your questions about, what has Boeing brought to Millennium, that is one area I would say that we've really been able to draw on the larger Boeing company to help with that rate up. We've brought in folks, not just from our satellite business, which we certainly have, but also from our commercial airplane business, where they know how to do rate up. And that's been really beneficial and exciting to see those plans get into place. And Millennium has a large backlog at this point. Really excited about their success, and really excited to see the products being delivered out of the small sat factory.
We're in a time of rapid technological change. What opportunities and what challenges does that present for Boeing?
Yeah, I think change always brings opportunity, right? And technology advancement, for those of us in the industry, we've seen that continuous technology advancement. So the trick is to really figure out how to harness that technology and use it to your best advantage. I would say things that we've put in place, like the IPA, in addition to the underlying sort of payload design and electrical engineering that was really fundamental to that full up digital payload, also the production knowledge and being able to set up that production factory in a way that is, mostly automated with just a couple hand welds, but I would say probably 95% automated. So bringing in that production technology as well, and then looking to the future. We're here at Space Symposium talking a lot about AI and machine learning, and how can we really take that as our products become more and more capable of producing large amounts of data. And you're looking at constellations that are bringing down even more data. How do you use AI to sift through that data and make decisions on it, and being able to act on that? So that's an area of technology that I think is going to pay real dividends in the future.
That's really helpful, because I'm always trying to figure out where AI is real and where it's just a buzzword for things that were already happening. This is obviously an area you've been working on for many years.
Yes, and I would say there are ranges of AI, right? You can start, with autonomy and then move through the whole range to really intelligent AI that, again, is looking through data and making decisions on that data on its own. Autonomous operations, we've done in the space world for a long time, right? Satellites have operated autonomously. This is really about getting to the point where you are using AI to sift through that data and make decisions based on what the AI is seeing, and being able to act on that data. There are, questions and discussions going on about that. Trusted AI, is it human on the loop instead of human in the loop? Are you doing, verification at some point? I think there's a lot of discussion that'll still have to go on with that, but the capability is there and really exciting about how to use it. And it can be used on data that's coming down from space. It can be used in our test programs. It can be used in, upfront engineering. There's a lot of applications for it. I think we're just at the beginning of learning what the true power is and then how best to harness it.
Great. Do you have advice for people entering the field who are not white male engineers?
Yes, I would say, I started my career a long time ago. And I chose a career, number one, that I loved. I loved it from day one. I started in the thermal department, thermophysics department. So I was doing thermal analysis for satellites. I like to say I could go back today and do thermal analysis. Like, I truly loved it. And I really was most interested when I started about really understanding what that job was and how to be good at it, and really establishing a great foundation on the technical area. And I think that's really important as you come into the workforce. Especially if you come into a company like Boeing that builds big, complicated systems. Not everybody, does that. And so being able to get a competence and a confidence in a certain area with a great foundation then allows you, and as it allowed me, to then look at more and more complicated systems and figure out how to bring all of that together. So I think from a technical side, that is super important. Another discussion we've been having a lot lately is, when we talk about space, we always go to STEM. We always go to engineering and mathematics and science, but there are so many other skills that are needed in order to run a big space business, right? You need finance, you need communications, you need supply chain management. And so really space is for everybody, right? That's what I've been saying. There's a lot of skills that we need as the business and the market and the ecosystem continues to grow. So I encourage everybody to be interested in space. And then from being a woman in the space field, I would say it has been really important for me to establish a network, to establish advocates. I feel very, very fortunate to have had advocates throughout my career. And, if you ask me how I think that came about, I actually would point back to kind of establishing that technical foundation and asking a lot of questions and being very curious about not just certainly the job I was working on, but how it fit into the bigger system. And then that led me to asking questions to my managers or my system engineering lead, who then became advocates, right? So I feel like that curiosity and asking a lot of questions and wanting to understand led to the advocacy and mentoring. And that is definitely important. And I think that's important in somebody's career, you know, whether you're a man, woman, or it's just important to have those kind of advocates.
You've covered my questions. Is there anything else that you wanted to say?
I think it's a really exciting time to be in space. I am fortunate enough to lead this business. This actually is the business that I started out in. I started my career in El Segundo. I've done many other things in Boeing. I've been fortunate enough to work on the human spaceflight side. I've been fortunate enough to work with commercial airplanes as well. But I've kind of now come home to lead the business that I started in. And that is really exciting. I think the space market is extremely dynamic right now. It's probably more exciting in the last decade than, you know, it had been in the decade or so prior to that of my career. And again, to just emphasize what I said, I would encourage if people are interested in space, it is a great time to get into space. It is not just about STEM. It is certainly about STEM, but it's not just about STEM. So everybody has a place in space, as we've said. And I'm really excited to see where the space industry goes, because I think it's a really exciting time to be in it.
Great. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Appreciate it.